So I was still reaching out to subs, I was still bidding projects, but it was more of, this is our project, this is, you're setting the budget at the early phase, and then you're seeing it all the way through, which was a great experience. I think working in a hospital, and as you know, it's not as clear, right? You're gonna think of so many aspects of a budget, so many aspects of how challenging it can be working in a hospital environment, and how many things you need to think of when you're actually budgeting, even at the concept phase when you have a napkin in front of you.
This is Maestro Minute, the show that discusses all things real estate, sharing interviews with the most successful people in the industry. Hear from their perspective and what they are doing to achieve success. Get exclusive tips on how you can also succeed in real estate. Maestro Minute is brought to you by Maestro Development. Here's your host, Nareg Muradian.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Maestro Minute. I'm your host, Nareg Muradian, and I'm super excited today. We have a special guest, a good friend of mine I've known for a long time, Steven Yetemian. Welcome to Maestro Minute, buddy.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Today, I'd like to bring to you guys some experience and knowledge about the pre-construction world, about cost control, construction market value, different things happening in the industry related to cost. So Steven is an expert in that, so I wanted to make sure that we could bring him in and he could share his story and some of his knowledge to you all. So don't forget to like and subscribe, as we always say. Put your comments as we have a conversation and we'll get them addressed. If there's anything we missed, let us know. But having said that, Steven, good to have you.
Thank you.
How's it going?
Good. I appreciate that introduction. That was made me feel good about myself to start this podcast. So just tell you a little bit about myself. Steven Yetemian, been doing construction in the construction industry for 17 years. Throughout my career, I've worked for general contractors, developers, owner builders. So I've got a decent background in what I do. I spent some time really kind of exploring every aspect of that world of construction and ownership and being on multiple sides. Early on, I started my career in college, went to Cal Poly Pomona, Bronco Pride here, got my degree in construction engineering.
Did you go in as a construction engineering major?
No, that's a good point. I started as a mechanical engineer. I would say about 3/4 of the way of my first year, I realized I'm more of a construction guy than a sit-down design mechanical guy, which, no offense, I thought it was a great degree to get, but construction fit me more. I grew up in the school of construction. My father was a civil engineer, and our time spent together wasn't necessarily doing fun stuff. It was more bonding on, let's go pour concrete in the front yard, or let's go fix this. And so I kind of put two and two together and said construction was the best fit for me. So started my path doing that. This was graduated about 2007, 2008, kind of around the Great Recession was starting off.
How did you get into the estimating and cost control side?
Good question. So estimating was one of those career paths I didn't start in. I started out in the field. The first assignment I was given was as a project engineer on a 6-story office building in Ontario, California. It was a steel building. Was out there kind of one of those eager to learn but doesn't know too much, because the college world and the real world don't really mesh perfectly. So, but I was eager to learn. Did that for about a year and a half, and then I was recruited to do estimating within the same organization. Did that for some time. A part of me, the main reason I did the estimating was the course that I actually took at Cal Poly was estimating, taught by a project manager, two project managers from the company that eventually hired me. I was one of 3 students that did well in the course. So they interviewed me. I spent some time really getting to know the company, and they offered me a job. So their intent was for me to kind of see all aspects of construction, be out in the field, be an estimator, work even more out in the field, or spend some time with the project management. So up until I actually did about the project engineering work and then estimating, it kind of stopped because recession hit, and I was also doing well in estimating. My time spent doing the estimating was really all sorts of types of estimating, you name it, commercial, public works, everything that kind of was happening at that moment, I was looking at. And I spent
What did you do specifically as the estimator for those projects? What were some of the things that you would deliver?
Sure. It really involved many phases. So conceptual, design development, and then schematics, all the way up until CDs, providing budgets, whether it was a conceptual estimate, or whether it was a hard bid estimate. I spent time actually looking at every aspect of the budget and providing a budget that was necessary for whomever it was, a developer, an owner, anybody that needed that service, we provided. We also bid projects. That meant reaching out to subcontractors, getting a hard bid number. So it was you see all aspects of the budget throughout that
So
phase.
that was your general contractor experience?
Correct.
How long did you do that?
That was just about 6, close to 7 years.
And then what did you do after that?
Right after that, I was recruited by a large hospital organization by the name of Kaiser. Spent some time, ended up joining them, doing estimating as well, out in LA area. Provided estimating services, did a lot of the same stuff that I did for the general contractor, but now it was a little bit different. You're not chasing the work, you're actually now budgeting what's there. You're accommodating for what they've set aside for their budgets. So
So
it
you
was
went from the general contractor side to the owner side,
correct.
and your budgets were now like a holistic budget with soft costs and construction costs?
To some degree, we didn't get too deep into the soft cost side. It was still predominantly hard because Kaiser operated as a owner builder per se. So I was still reaching out to subs. I was still bidding projects, but it was more of, this is our project. This is, you're setting the budget at the early phase, and then you're seeing it all the way through, which was a great experience. I think working in a hospital, and as you know, it's not as clear, right? You're going to think of so many aspects of a budget, so many aspects of how challenging it can be working in a hospital environment, and how many things you need to think of when you're actually budgeting, even at the concept phase when you have a napkin in front of you.
And how long were you at Kaiser?
So I spent a little over 2 years at Kaiser, and it was a good time spent learning. But for me, I was really hungry for more. I was the type of estimator and just individual that wanted to explore more and learn more. So I was recruited by a developer, local developer out of Pasadena, who did work all over the United States, did work there, recruited to actually build out their cost management team. So I took an offer, took the opportunity to take advantage of that, put together kind of a strategy for a company that didn't have something that I've already started building through my past experiences. Did that for some time, and that was a great experience to now be on the developer side. And being on the developer side is vastly different from being on the contractor side and owner builder side. You're now at the forefront of everything that starts from a project, and there is no calling subcontractors. This is dealing with the direct contractor when it's time to actually build something, and managing that project and managing the cost management of the project. So a big part of my job was setting budgets, conceptual budgets for projects. And working for a developer, it's tricky. It's not as clear cut. You're in charge of the biggest piece of the puzzle. And what I mean by that is, financially, the biggest cost is the hard cost in a development budget. So I spent a lot of time putting together budgets, doing a lot of conceptual estimating on some, big projects, whether it was multifamily, commercial, life science, high rise. I worked on some great projects up in the Bay Area, and that was a great experience for myself to really build on. So I did that about for 6 years. 6 years around COVID time. Things were getting a little slower. I spent some time trying to stay busy, work on as many projects as possible, but I was also recruited by another firm, a tech firm by the name of Rivian Automotive. They also were interested in me starting their cost estimating management team. So I took it upon myself to actually help them with that. As the economy started shifting, programs were starting to slow down. I took that opportunity to tell myself, maybe it's time to take all that information and use it on the construction management side. And I think that's the next phase of my career, and working with you and working on some really great projects.
Well, this has been a great interview, Steven.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate your time. This is great information.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Again, put your comments down below and let us know if you have any questions. And we'll be filming more of these here shortly with more awesome guests similar to Steven with different types of backgrounds. So thanks again for joining Maestro Minute. I'm your host, Narg Meridian. We'll see you in the next video.
Thanks for tuning in to the Maestro Minute podcast. Make sure to rate this podcast if you found it helpful, share it with a friend that could use it, and follow us on all major podcast platforms. The Maestro Minute, powered by Maestro Development.